We'll be going live in a second. And now we have a red button there.
Yeah, I'm gonna refresh YouTube and then I did mute it, so we should be. Oh. Yep, here we are.
Hey.
Oh my gosh, where's the chat at? Here it is. All right.
The chat that is now archived.
I know, I love that. Oh, I love that so much.
I had to take a little picture and I posted Instagram. We are live.
We are live. Hello, everyone. Who's watching? Who's here? We wait. We're gonna wait a little bit to start talking, obviously, but wait for everybody to join in.
What do you have there?
Oh, my today's drink of choice is a rose spritzer from Barefoot. These cute little cans. These are actually a little bit kind of expensive, but they're super convenient and delicious. I think this is pomegranate and berry or something like that. It's really good.
I was gonna say, now we have like advertisement on our channel.
I know, right? Brought to you by Barefoot. Oh, hello, Danielle. Hello. How are you?
You just totally reminded me. I feel like every time we do a live stream, I'm always reminded of the Truman Show in some way, shape, or form. But when Laura Linney starts holding up the jars and she's saying the coffee is sponsored, he's like, "Who are you talking to? What are you doing?"
Who are you talking to? Do you know? I still have to watch. No, I still have to watch that.
There's something about the live streams where I always think of something Truman-esque, and so in the movie, because it's a reality, 24/7, and so she's an actress. She knows it's not, a real life. So she'll randomly hold up products to advertise to the audience, and Jim Carrey as Truman's going, "Who are you talking to? What's going on?"
That's funny. Danielle says she's fine. I have not finished the book. It was good so far. Oh, kind of like, where are you at? Where are you at in the story?
And do you mind spoilers?
Yeah, do you mind? Because we're going to be talking all about it. It's a spoiler zone.
Yeah, there's some points where you just, once you know something, there's no going back.
No going back. Kind of like trying to avoid Infinity War spoilers before you see the movie.
You've already seen that though.
I've seen it twice, yeah.
Oh my God.
I saw it Friday and then I saw it again on Saturday night. Oh, she's in the middle. Okay. Right in the middle.
Trying to remember if there's anywhere else I should be updating social media, be like, we are live right now.
I tried to retweet or share stuff that you post. I'm just on your train, girl.
I really went for it today with the Twitter account. I was in my prime with this one.
I retweeted you, and I'm just like, you are the Twitter queen over here. I tell you. You always are, though. You're really good about that. We are live.
Here, I have a lot of fun with Twitter. I really do. I mean, YouTube, it takes a lot of time and energy to edit videos and film. And with Twitter, I feel like I get to have fun with the GIFs, and there's a lot of interactivity in the moment. There's just different technological affordances that I appreciate about different platforms. And so I think Twitter really lends itself to just kind of my mentality in a way.
Yeah, I like Twitter. Oh, Ashley, Ash Hart's Books. Hi, how are you?
And Ash took the most beautiful, absolutely stunning picture. Yes, I featured it on my Instagram live. I don't know where you get your eye for that, but that was a phenomenal picture. I loved it. It just made me so happy too to see, you're excited about the live stream. It made me so happy.
Some people can just do the Instagram. I tell you, I'm not one of those people. So I always love going to the feeds that are really good, like Courtney, Ash, she's really good. There's a couple of others like that I follow that aren't necessarily Bookstagram, but they take gorgeous pictures. And so I just stalk your account.
Hey, whatever makes you happy. If you want to stalk some pretty Instagram accounts, they're making those photos public anyway. It's fine. No judgment.
Yeah. Thank you. I know this is a judgment-free zone, and I love everyone.
It's like Planet Fitness. Those Planet Fitness jokes about, judgment-free zone. You got to get those little T-shirts.
Yes, judgment-free zone.
Although I don't like their color scheme of purple and yellow. I could skip the yellow. I mean, choose one, you know?
Purple. Oh, yeah, huh. Reminds me of UFIT. We have I don't know, we have that gym in Arizona. It's purple and green. I don't know. Like lime green too, not like a pretty green.
So we're just keeping the motto. We're not keeping the colors.
Yeah. We like the motto. Yes.
And I'm pretty sure, so I know Danielle just said she hasn't. She's in the middle. So I'm pretty sure Ash has read this book a couple weeks ago because I remember tweeting or retweeting that she gave it. What did you give it, Ash, for? 5 stars? I know you really enjoyed the book.
I think she gave it 5 stars. Yeah, but yeah, I think she definitely finished it.
So when did you obviously finished it? So
I finished it on Sunday. Yeah, I finished it Sunday.
And I was kind of holding off, like a little treat of sorts, because I had to give it. I had to give myself some time to finish my presentation for my dissertation.
Yes.
So I had to work on that, and then as soon as that was completed, and then I ended up needing to recover for a couple of days because that was just so mentally and physically exhausting in its own way. I picked up the book and I was just ready to, read something romantic and have fun. And so this was my reward.
Yeah, and you deserved it, girl.
Oh, thank you. Oh, so 4 stars. So yeah. Maybe did we downgrade this? I thought there was another star in the mix.
I think I gave it on Goodreads, since they don't do half stars. I gave it 4 stars, but honestly, for me, it's like a 3.5.
So, hi, welcome to the chat. I just saw Morris pop up.
Yes, hello.
And so I'm pretty sure she also read the book. I think maybe you were the one who gave it 5 stars. I know someone gave it 5 stars. I know there's a star rating out there somewhere that I retweeted.
Right. And I think I did see that she updated her Goodreads, if I'm not mistaken.
I know I don't even know where to start with this book because there's so much to unpack and talk about. I mean, does anyone want to get the ball rolling? Do you want somewhere in particular you want to start with this?
I wrote notes on my Kindle because I bought it on Kindle. So I mean, I do have some notes. It just basically starts at the beginning, and then
I have all my I printed out the quotes, and then I tried something different this time. I paper clipped the themes together.
Oh.
So now I can just grab my little bunch and say, okay, this is the whole Tanner thing. This is the ending that we want to talk about. So now I can just grab my paper clips and I have every note that I ever need. I'm really into this tonight.
Awesome. That's awesome. Ash, I really did like it. It was super emotional, but there were just some things / actions that I didn't love. Same, definitely. Angela and I were talking a little bit about that before we went live, and I promise you we will get there. We will get to that, yeah.
That's why I don't even know where to start with this, because I feel as if there's just so much to talk about.
Well, if we want to just dive right into the uncomfortable bits, we can totally do that, because I do have some of those. Let me just see if I can get to my notes from here.
So if anyone does drop in or who hasn't finished the book, so basically we have a couple. We have Elizabeth, and sometimes called Liz or Lizzie, and then we have Tristan, both of whom lost their spouses. So he's a widower, and oh my goodness, I'm gonna get tongue-tied with the widower. Both of them have lost their spouses, but Tristan's loss is a little bit more because he also lost his son. And so we don't know at first how they, lost their significant others, but both of them are very emotional, very distraught. And so it's only been 1 year since the death of their spouses. And so they take comfort in each other. And so that's my little kind of, is there anything else you'd like to add to that little preface?
No, you did wonderfully. That was really a brief synopsis of kind of the entity that is the air he breathes. Yeah, like Ash said, super emotional. There were some parts that were just, I don't think I cried during this book, but I was just like, oh man, that makes my heart hurt, because reading books like this about when people lose their spouses, it really gets to me. It really does. Just the thought of losing my husband for any reason at all, whether it be accident or, it really it it touches my heart and it hurts me a little inside. So very emotional. A lot of, if we want to just dive right in on the things that made me uncomfortable, we can.
We're just going right for spoilers now. So
I mean, everyone knows, like, this is the live stream discussion. We are discussing the book, so spoilers are running amok right now. Ash, I was full out sobbing. So any book that can make me do that was at least super well written. Yeah, totally. If a book can get me crying, absolutely. It's definitely, just because obviously you feel for these characters, even though they're fictional, you feel empathy for the strife that they're going through. And the fact that the author can make you do that with just her words is quite amazing. So you're nodding your head. Anything else?
Going, yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I didn't cry. I mean, again, spoilers. I predicted the quote unquote twist of Elements really quickly.
Yeah,
I knew too what the twist was, because it said 7-car pileup. And the only reason you could have the detail of 7-car pileup is to show that there was more people involved in this accident than just one car or two.
Right.
So I kind of knew very, very early on that they were going to be connected in this way, especially because I've read other romance books that have, and I don't mean this as bad writing, but they have the exact same setup. I've read a lot of books where they've accidentally killed the parent, and, you know, with a hit and run, or, you know, a kid and drunk, they made it, you know, an accident occur, and so they're still trying to come back from that, but that's the accident that ties them together. I mean, I've read this in at least 20 books, how they pulls these characters together. So I kind of knew very early on that the accident was going to be the one where they both lost their spouses. That was not a surprise to me. And I feel as if that's one of those emotional moments where you're supposed to be going, wow. So that didn't hit me as the way I think it was supposed to. But again, I read a lot of these books.
Yeah.
And if you haven't read, like me, 700 something romance novels in the last couple of years, I mean, if you haven't done that, you know, and you're not as used to, I mean, there's certain, you know, little flags and things that pop up that are just, you know, really obvious to me. And so I think some of the moments that were supposed to really hit you, but that's just because I'm so familiar with the genre at this point.
Right, absolutely. And I think I felt that way too, just because, yes, I wouldn't necessarily call, I could call this a trope where it would be, this is a really kind of effective emotional plot device. And so I caught it very early on. I'm talking like page 4, you know, so it's like, or at least when Elizabeth was talking about her husband dying, and I'm like, okay, so that's been a year for them, and it's been a year for Tristan, and I'm just like, I have a feeling this is going to end terribly, you know, so it's...
So the details were there, and also, here's the other thing too, there were at least 3 different instances where they were supposed to talk about the accident where they lost their loved ones, but they didn't actually talk about the accident. They would just be very vague. So this is kind of like last time around where he just said the ex-wife, and so you're supposed to figure out, oh, who is the ex-wife, or, you know, you're supposed to fill in the blank, the ambiguity of it. But there was a moment when he actually said, I don't want to talk about the accident. I don't want to talk about how I lost them. And I go, okay.
Yeah.
Not even being, this is just flat out kind of, I mean, that was where
because the author kind of wants it to be like the big reveal at the end. And so when they were talking about it, like trying to get to know each other and everything, you know, something always happens where they avoid talking about it. So it's very, very transparent. Marassa is saying like Midnight Blue by L.J. Shin. I actually haven't read that book. I just wrote it down because I want to, though, because I feel like Marassa always reads really great books and she recommends really good books. So definitely going to be checking that out. And then Ash, weirdly, I saw the Tanner being in love thing earlier on, but I didn't see that her husband being a part of the accident until pretty close to the end. Yeah, I always, you know, I figured that, you know, Tanner was kind of hanging around just because, you know, he's the best friend that's in love with her. And, you know, I didn't see him completely losing his shit. But, you know.
I wanted to talk about that, and y'all are already hitting at this in the comments, and I'm going, thank you for agreeing with me, and I didn't even have to pitch you. Like, you were already on the same page with me. When he went crazy, and he's the reason for the accident, I kind of had this moment going, what are you doing? Just, no. I couldn't get that. And I was really upset with that because in a way, I think it cheapened the emotional impact and the losses, because it was almost less realistic because there was someone behind the accident. Whereas, and grounded in realism, not a lot of people are sabotaging brakes and things like that. And so it was almost as if that was how they overcame the emotional hurdle. It wasn't as if they actually, loved each other enough to overlook it, or he said, she's not her husband, or one of those really kind of impactful elements where you could really see the characters and their own unique love, not their spouse love, but their own unique love, surviving and overcoming and thriving. And then I feel like by having him be the killer and having that, it really cheapened that.
I totally agree with you. I really feel like that whole thing came out of left field. I was like, why is he slowly going insane? And I'm like, oh no, he's been insane forever. And I'm just like, why? Why throw another element of drama in here? Yeah, Tanner lost.
I printed out his quotes where he went crazy, and so I put them in a paperclip. So the part where so first of all, he lost a coin toss, and I love how he thinks he can win a woman by a coin toss, right away.
Oh gosh, yeah.
So right off the bat, he's treating her as if she's, a trophy. Mm-hmm. Honestly, awful. But when he wanted to kill the daughter, that was off the rails. He wanted to get rid of the daughter because that had a part of her dead, her deceased husband. And so he's saying we can never be together because she still has her daughter. And so the coin toss was one thing. But when he started wanting to kill the daughter, this guy, the crazy level just kept going up and up and up. The Joker in Batman isn't as awful as this guy.
I know. I was like, are you serious right now? I was like, is this really happening? I swear, when he kind of there's this one thing where it kind of just clicked and he started saying weird stuff. And I'm like, oh, he's insane. I'm like, oh, he's insane. I was like, is this really where this is going? And it was so unbelievable to me. I'm just like, okay, yeah, you can have the best friend that's in love with the girl, but why you got to make him crazy and want to kill everybody? I'm like, gosh.
I printed out the quotes. So he talks about cutting the brake cord, and he was giving Elizabeth back to me because I won the coin toss. And everything went great, except when he took the car onto the freeway. Emma wasn't in the backseat. She was homesick. He wanted to kill the daughter early on with the deceased husband. And so Tristan, this is his point of view. I couldn't comprehend his words. I couldn't believe what he was saying. You tried to kill them. You rigged his car. Then all capital letters, I won the coin toss. I keep saying that over and over and over again. I won the coin toss. So this guy, and then it just keeps getting worse. And so he even said, Tristan says, is she a prize to you? I won the coin toss. He just keeps saying it.
Yeah, he kept saying that. And also, when he was talking about how Steven brought the car in for him to look at, he felt like that was some kind of divine intervention, that Steven was just giving him permission to tamper with his brakes and steal his wife. Like I was like, seriously? That's maybe he just needs a tune-up, guy. I don't know. What are you even talking about right now?
The entire last part, once Tanner started going insane, I felt as if we hit the fast forward button or something. And so I wrote down the last 15%. I feel as if we just kind of randomly picked up the pace, because as soon as Tanner was Cracker Jacks there, he was just crazy off his rocker. As soon as he went, baddie, that seemed to take a little bit of a turn for me. Because up until that point, I was really invested. And so as soon as Tanner became this, villain, obviously he was creepy. And obviously we can get into, the whole him calling Tristan a monster on every single time he could, every occasion he got the chance.
Yeah.
As soon as he became the villain, it was weird for me. There was just something kind of, I think that was where I kind of started having issues a little bit.
Maras is saying, I was like, I didn't see the Tanner one coming. Honestly, that part was a little too much. And Ash is agreeing. The Tanner part was honestly just not needed and kind of just seems so weird and out there. Like the author kind of wanted to put another element of drama in the situation when it really didn't need it. I really feel like your spouse's dying is drama enough and trying to get over that.
I think again, I feel as if I'm going to repeat myself, and I don't mean to, but I wanted them to want each other enough. And so we found out, or when, she found out, and I could kind of understand the hesitation to all this. She herself was trying to unpack and comprehend you know, her husband and his wife. So when she didn't instantly go running to him, I wasn't mad at her. And so I think it was a little unfair when Tristan was kind of, you knew the entire party. Well, you know, she wanted to step back, maybe figure out how to word it. And so I wasn't really happy about that. But I wanted them to come together on their own. And there's a line after Tristan and, you know, and Tanner and Emma, and there's this whole, you know, incident where they have to go get Emma back from Tanner. And so she says, you should have loved me before I got shot. You should have come back to me. And I'm going, yes. Thank you. and so, I mean, the whole Tanner thing, I think, detracted from them and their emotional, in their relationship. I think there should have been more of an emotional moment between them and not so much have to do with these external variables.
Right. I remember that the part where Tristan and the shopkeeper were talking, and he's saying, like, she's not her husband. You know, you need to, you know, love like that doesn't come around, you know, very often. It's like, you need to forgive her, and, you know, you need to, you know, because he's saying, like, love is magic, you know. And honestly, I'm just like, after that conversation, he should have just, you know, went to her. You know, they did like they didn't even need that whole Tanner, and it would have been a great ending.
I feel awful saying this. I don't know if you needed to up your word count or something, because that entire incident to me was just, could have been edited out. That entire Tanner.
I feel that way too. I totally feel that way.
I think if I just look at it without that part of the book, it would have been just, you know, knock into the park for me. I would have loved it. But the whole Tanner thing just really got to me. And so again, here's my own bugaboo. You know, I got mad at, you know, Archer and Archer's voice for this too, when he left her. He left her. And so here it is 10 times worse, maybe 100 times worse, because there is a daughter involved. And I lost a lot of respect for our romantic lead when he left, not just the love of his, you know, the woman he's in love with, but he left her daughter. And so child involved, and you leave the child who loves you and your dog and is invested in you, and you leave Emma, who, you know, loves her zombies and is just this little cutie pie, and he left her as well, and she's asking for him. I had a big problem with that.
Yeah, and even Elizabeth said, you know, like, she's like, if it was just me, I could get over it, but you left my daughter, you know. It's like, without any kind of explanation, I have to tell her why you're not coming around, or, you know, why Zeus isn't coming around, because she loved that dog. And yeah, I was just like, that's devastating. It's like, you made my daughter like fall in love with you too, and now you left both of us. And honestly, I agree with that too.
Especially, and here's where, you know, I was already mad, and here's where I think great writing comes into play. But she said, I thought you and Zeus were gone forever like daddy.
Oh, yeah.
And so here's the thing. She captured the emotional elements of leaving them. Yeah. But, you know, this guy should have been groveling hard.
Seriously.
I mean, hot coals, feet, stomach, something, groveling.
Yeah.
He left her and the daughter. And so, I mean, again, forgiveness is wonderful, but I mean, that was a really quick turnaround.
Yeah. Absolutely. Ash is saying, yes, completely less realistic. It just wasn't going to happen in real life. I think she's talking about the Tanner. And Maras is saying, is this where this is going? You took the words out of my mouth. Honestly, yeah. Ash says, honestly, I felt like if we could have taken the last bit off, I would have loved it so much more and rated it higher. And Maras is saying, that's one of my pet peeves, when authors add stuff for word count. They think readers don't notice, but we do. Oh, we do. She ended up getting it 4 stars. So,
you just talked this book out of getting a higher rating. And we haven't even gotten to some of the other pet peeves yet. But I mean, just going back to Tristan for a second, Tanner. Oh, okay. That was something else I noticed as well. This is something amateur writers do when you have I'm not calling her an amateur writer, but unless there's a reason to have characters named Tristan and Tanner, and there ended up being a reason, that's something you usually don't do. And so the Post-it notes, when the initials, that was something obvious, you know, that was kind of obvious to me, because there's no other reason to have characters named Tristan and Tanner and then have, you know, anonymous type of notes with the TC initials.
I know, they have the same initials.
But I mean, that wasn't an amateur writing mistake. I mean, that's something that writer, you know, first time writers, when there's Amelia, you know, and all these A names walking into the door or something, But she did that for a reason, because the Post-it notes. So I feel as if I'm going to keep calling them Tanner and Tristan. But Tanner kept calling Tristan a monster every chance he got. And so that was something that was also kind of problematic to me, because I wanted there to have been an incident or something to refer back to kind of justify why he felt that way, other than simply saying he's a monster. Because at this point, he was just judging him. I don't know why, because apparently he's an attractive lumberjack-looking guy. I don't really know where aside from working for a quirky older gentleman, I don't really understand where the monster vibe was coming from. I mean, once he provoked him, physical altercation, but it wasn't until that moment where he had monster-esque qualities. And so I wasn't really sure why they kept calling him a monster.
Right. And it's just, honestly, I think it's just his, just how he is around town. It's, he even says it's easier for people to for him to push people away and for people to call him a monster than to be active and participate in society. But yeah, I honestly was thinking she was going to reveal some kind of incident where the two of them had an altercation in the past before Elizabeth even came to town, but that never even happened. So I was maybe reading, looking back now that we know that Tanner's just crazy, I'm thinking that maybe
here's the thing. It wasn't just Tanner. He said it a lot, but even her friend, everyone in town was judging this guy. And so I thought maybe, he would have, sworn up a storm and thrown tables or something in a restaurant and made a scene or something for everyone to judge him. I mean, yes, he's a little bit of a curmudgeon. He's not the friendliest, but that doesn't justify being called a monster.
Right. Yeah. That's what I was thinking, there was going to be some incident that, the town just heard about it or something, and that's what gave them provocation to call him a monster, not just because he's mean. I mean, don't get me wrong, he was downright awful when Tristan and Elizabeth first met. It's obviously it's tragic when someone runs over your dog, but
I wasn't even mad at him for that, if I'm being totally honest. I mean, yes, he was he snapped at her and he wasn't the friendliest. But I mean, she almost killed his dog.
He ran over his dog.
Here's the thing. This little guy's sitting on my lap. I'm just pulling him up. You can see the little messy head. He was just asleep, so he's upset. And I woke him up. I didn't mean to, but I love him. I'm a dog. And so if somebody were to run over my dog, I would not be too pleased with them either. I mean, I'm a very quiet individual, but I can imagine myself being very outgoing, and I would not be happy. So I'm not even mad at him for getting mad at her when she almost killed his dog. I don't even hold that against him.
I think it was a very natural reaction, because especially since, this dog was there for him when he lost his spouse and his child, he felt like that's the only.
Named the dog. His son named him Zeus. So that dog is special. And I mean, if something happened to Max and someone, plowed him over, I mean, I wouldn't be pleased with them. I would never get over that. I would probably never forgive them.
I know, right? And I was like, this is really, honestly, I felt like that was weird how they were meeting like that, because like you, I probably would not get over that. Even though, yes, the dog's okay, they paid for his vet bills, blah, 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 but you still ran over my.
Okay, here's the other thing too. Here's my little law minor coming into play here from my bachelor's degree. Legally, she would have been responsible for the dog's care, or someone coming in to take care of the dog. Legally, she would have been, if he had brought her to Judge Judy would have ruled in his favor. And so here's when that happened, and she made it look like a kind gesture. Yeah, it was nice of you to offer, but legally, he could have come back and said, taking you to court, suing you, do this. So legally, she would have been responsible anyhow.
Anyway, yeah. So, and I'm just like, this is really how the two main protagonists are meeting. I'm like, this is kind of okay. Starting off on a really bad foot.
I'm not even mad at him for snapping at her, though, because I mean, that whole situation was, not the best.
I like how when he was leaving, he was leaning in to whisper, learn how to drive a car. Morass is saying the town is hung up on appearance, I guess. Yeah, I mean.
Where's the quote? I pulled the quote because she said he looked like a lumberjack.
Yeah, because he had the beard and then his long hair. He even put his hair up at a man bun one time.
Lately, you haven't shaven and you look like a lumberjack, which is repulsive. With your beanie hat and your thick beard, I'm semi-surprised you're not wearing plaid.
I think that's why I thought of Jared Padalecki for this because with the long hair, and I think the GIF that I shared when you're asked like who would play Tristan, I think Jared Padalecki is wearing a beanie in that picture.
The other response was Charlie Hunnam or Hannum. I don't know.
Charlie Hunnam. Yeah.
The other response for who would play Tristan.
Yeah, I could see that. And Charlie Hunnam played Jax Teller on Sons of Anarchy, so he's kind of like, he kind of has that really, he can be that mean attitude too, so I can see that. Yeah. Ash saying, yeah, I agree. The hate is probably all from appearance in the rumor mill. Totally. Yeah, there was a lot of rumors flying around about him, how he turned what was it? Like someone's dog went into the shop and turned into a cat or something, or vice versa. I'm like, oh my gosh, you guys.
This is where, I had that moment of, this is a contemporary, right? I mean, it reminded me of Outlander when she was accused of being a witch.
Yeah.
That type of vibe, right? I was going, what? Huh? Okay. I don't know if we're supposed to judge small town people and think that they believe in mystical, magical moments like that. I mean, I wasn't really sure what to do with that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm like, oh, there's a magic shop. Also made me think of Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Giles
magic shop.
That would be awesome if we could get Anthony Stewart Head to be, if there was a movie adaptation, it should be him.
Yeah, absolutely. That'd be awesome.
So you guys, thoughts on Tanner? Apparently, just want to close off that book before moving on. Any final thoughts about Tanner? I mean, my only last comment is about when he takes Emma, because he kind of hijacks the kid and he runs away with her. And so I want to know about why cops in small towns, or why cops in romance novels are never really on the job. Because they find 8 cameras in her house. He's being very creepy. I mean, we've officially upgraded Tanner from killer to child, kidnapper, to now invading privacy. I mean, if he had lived, I know there was, he got shot and he died, but if he had lived, he was going to be in jail for a very long time.
For a very long time.
But the cops, when they know exactly who took her, they know exactly why, and they're saying she has to go fill out a report.
Yeah, I was like, no. I think I would have reacted the same way she did. She's like, are you kidding me?
that moment, I was laughing, and that's not a moment you should have been laughing for, because I was glad she called them out on it. I mean,
yeah, seriously.
I mean, they wanted her to go fill out a report, and I mean, what is it with the cops and how they represent?
I don't know, especially in small towns, seriously, I don't know.
The sleuth always has to be the one to go solve the case because the cops can't do it. And now these cops, they know exactly who has the child.
But I need you to fill out this report before we go and do that. She's not in danger.
Even, creepy psycho guy who killed the father has been wanting to kill her for the last year and a half. I mean.
Yeah. That's great detective work there.
Yeah, there are multiple, the witness, Lincoln, I think it was Lincoln, who said Tanner picked up your child.
Yeah, because they were with the in-laws. So
can I okay, here's the thing. I volunteered with children, and so I understand family, I understand, they knew who he was, but when there's a child involved and someone unexpected comes to pick them up, you have to check. You always have to check and send us a quick text message, phone call. And so when they just kind of let her go, I mean, I understand he's a family friend and stuff, but wouldn't you at least want to check with the parents?
Right, exactly. And I think maybe the only reason why that they didn't is because I think Elizabeth said that Tanner was Emma's godfather. Am I correct?
Yeah, I just had that moment though of, wouldn't you at least want to check? Because she was planning to pick up herself, so there was a plan in place. And so if the plan changes, even if it's someone I think there should be some sort of notification. Just saying.
Yeah, I'm just like, well, it's like, hey, just to let you know, this person came and picked up your kid. Yeah, even Ash was like, I mean, he was her godfather, right? Yeah, I mean, but still, she's right. Being with children, you have a responsibility for that child until the person that was supposed to come picks them up. So it's.
I remember when I got roped into, because I went to a private Catholic school, so I ended up teaching CCD on the weekends. And so one time, the mother would always come to pick up one child, and he said this is his dad. I'm like, well, the dad isn't on the register, and I actually would not let him go with the dad. And so everyone, they actually, were happy that I was that,
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the way you're supposed to be. If you're not on this paperwork that said you can pick up this child, I'm sorry, I don't know who you are.
I think that's just why I have those memories. So I think maybe that's why it stood out to me in that particular way, because I'm very rule, there are rules to adhere to. So yes, I know he was the godfather, but even then they had been kind of in and out of town. She wasn't there for the last year. So even then I feel as if that would have changed the dynamic just a little bit.
Yeah, true. I agree. Weird. Weird. Just weird all around with that, situation. But okay, so do we want to talk about the other uncomfortable moments?
You brought this up. Would you like to?
Okay. I thought it was really weird how their relationship started. They decided they wanted to take their relationship to the next level. I'm just going to be blunt here, people. They decided to have sex to remember their late spouses. And there were even some points during love scenes where they were calling out the other person's, their spouse's name. And I just thought that was really weird and very uncomfortable. And I would like to hear your comments or read your comments about this if anyone else agrees with me. And I just thought it was I was like, this cannot end well. I was like, and I even said this to Angela. I was just like, I don't care what the situation is. No one wants to hear another person's name in bed. Nobody does. So I was like, I don't care what the situation is. Nobody does.
Here's my biggest problem with that. So I've read, again, I read a lot. So I've read books where they're overcoming losses and, they try and use other relationships to, get over that hurdle. But here's my problem with that. I want to read their love story. I want to read about Tristan and Elizabeth. I want to read how they fall in love and how they have their happily ever after. And yes, I understand they both lost their spouses, but I want to focus on their relationship. And that took away from that for me, because I want to read about them falling in love. And so when that's happening in the book, I was really uncomfortable with that, because I'm going, this is really problematic to their relationship narrative. So I understand they're coping with loss. I fully, sympathize, empathize. That's terrible. But the way, a romance novel is focusing on a relationship. That's why you pick up a romance novel. And so for me, their relationship didn't really start until 65% into the book. And so those but those scenes made it very uncomfortable for me, because I wasn't sure if, they've already been intimate. And so it was harder for me to look at their relationship and really get invested in it in a certain way. Not invested in it, I don't care, but look at it in a kind of analytical fashion, because, they've already had these scenes. They've already, been kissing, they've done everything.
They've done it.
It's harder because there's already an emotional connection in a kind of off-color way of sorts. There are scientists who always say, women experience, certain emotions because of sex. So, does that color the romance in this book? How do you view that? I think it just problematizes their relationship narrative to a certain degree. And I just went off on a tangent there.
I love it, because I absolutely agree with 100% of what you're saying, because I honestly felt like the whole book, even like how you said, like their story, those two with each other, doesn't start until like 65% of the way through. And I feel like I was like, at one point reading this, I was like, there is no way that these two characters could come together and have their own relationship if they are going to continue this way. And I just, honestly, it's like, yes, it's terrible that they lost their significant others or they lost their spouses and he lost his kid. Yes, it's very terrible. And honestly, bouncing back a year afterward, I don't even think I could do that, and it's just, it did it did detract from their relationship and moving on, because they weren't, I don't think they were ready even to move on. And so, like, even said, like, they were broken and they were not ready to pursue any kind of relationship, even if they were, thinking of the other person while they were doing it. And I just think it wasn't healthy at all. I just thought it was really, really, I think Maraz said it best. She said cringe. And Ash is saying, I completely agree. That was really weird. I could understand if it was just from comfort, but the whole actually imagining someone else was just really odd. There was a point where I was like, oh my gosh, are they actually going to fall in love and have an happily ever after because of how it started off? Yeah, seriously, I could not imagine. I was like, how is this even going to turn around? And they just kept hitting bump after bump. And it was crazy. Oop, my dogs are barking.
So this gave me, there's a book by Colleen Hoover, Ugly Love. I did a book review on this a long time ago. It's been, a year since I read this. And so the hero in that book, I mean, again, she writes very dramatic romances.
Mm-hmm.
The hero in that book, he's overcoming a certain loss, and I'm going to try and be spoiler free because this isn't that particular book discussion, but he's in bed with the heroine and he says someone else's name and she is devastated. And so I was mad at him. I was livid as the reader. And so she had not had a significant loss. She did not, her parents were both alive. She had her brother. Everyone was very much, okay in her life. But he had this loss. And so he was dealing with something that she didn't fully understand on an emotional level. So in a way, I appreciated that they both were coming at the relationship in the same way, but the way they were coming at the relationship was the problem for me. I mean, I understand why the writer did what she did. And I don't want to say I appreciate the fact they both had losses, but in a way it worked because they understood the mentality and the emotional impact of everything because they both had that loss. I get it as the reader. But the whole scenes are there imagining someone, and there's a quote when she says, I said someone's name, it might not have been his, and he said someone's name, and it might not have been mine. I'm going, oh, this is just so, I didn't know what to do. I was tempted to, skip ahead because I just kind of was cringing, going, okay. I didn't really know how to parse through that.
Yeah, it was really kind of, it rubbed me the wrong way, definitely. And I'm just like, how? And they were both, and the fact that was just mind blowing to me is that they were both okay with it. I mean, I guess they had an understanding about, like, this is how it's going to be. But, oh yeah, it was. It was rough to read through.
Yeah. This is why I mentioned Ugly Love, because she didn't have that emotional, she didn't have that emotion of loss. She didn't have that. I mean, again, you can mentally understand, but understanding it from an emotional level is different. So, I mean, again, I kind of appreciated the fact they both were coming at the relationship from the same way. But, when the guy said someone else's name in bed and the girl from Ugly Love is upset, I understood that far more than I understood, him calling, she saying Steven and him saying, his wife's name. And then you mentioned the other scene where I actually did skip ahead because I couldn't read it. I cringed and I'm like, okay, I'm going to go make another cup of tea, get away from this for a second because I could not read it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Because one scene that I was talking to Angela about in particular is when before they even were intimate with each other, she was imagining Tristan and Jamie together, and then she proceeds to masturbate. And I just thought, and it kind of just evolved into, instead of Tristan with Jamie, it was Tristan with her. So the evolution of it kind of got her thinking about him sexually, but that scene was very weird. And I'm just like, why are you thinking about them together? Don't do that.
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned this, I think, every live stream, the other woman drama, the cheating, that stuff always really bothers me. I mean, that makes it really hard for me to read these books, or romance books, excuse me. And so I wasn't sure if there was an emotional cheating involved to a certain degree, because you're not really with the person you're with. You're kind of, physically, yes, but mentally you're somewhere else. And so I kind of wasn't sure how to parse through or unpack that, because in a weird way, I think it was emotionally cheating.
Yeah, definitely. Because they weren't with the person they were with physically. Like you said, they checked out mentally and they were just imagining their late spouses. And honestly, it was just they were using each other, and it was mutually beneficial at the time for both of them. But that does not mean that it was healthy at all. I think Ash said, I will say it was definitely a different way to approach grief and loss than I've seen, but it definitely wasn't healthy. And Maras is saying, I honestly thought they were going to separate and then get back together a couple of years later. Yeah, I mean, I just did not see it ending well for these two.
Yeah. I mean, I think the way, again, I wanted to read their relationship. And
Mhm.
I didn't really get to read their relationship until 60% into the book. I mean,
by the time they were actually invested with each other, this whole thing with Tanner started happening, and it felt like the attention was pulled from their relationship again. And I feel like maybe this book was like 20% Tristan and Elizabeth, and 80% everything else that was trying to drive them away. And honestly, a lot of this book was uncomfortable.
so here's something else that kind of bugged me. I feel like I'm kind of unloading right now.
Right.
So we find out after a certain point that Elizabeth stayed with Tristan's wife when she was at the hospital. And this was a turning point for him when his mother said he stayed. And so she says, there was a woman, I was sobbing uncontrollably, and this woman walked up to me and held me. She stayed with me the whole time, keeping me from falling apart, telling me it would be okay. So here's the thing. I wasn't sure if he appreciated Elizabeth comforting his mother, being there, or if he just thought, oh, we're connected, this is, kismet. I wasn't really sure what was going on there, because again, I felt as if he should have appreciated Elizabeth in her own right, and not because she was linked to his family or that situation or that kind of scene. I didn't really know how to unpack that. So if you guys have thoughts, if you have thoughts, please tell me, because when he found out she was waiting with his mother, and then when his wife died, she was in the room. When he found that out, that was the turning point when he went back. And I was thinking he would have realized, oh, I love this woman, I miss her. And that would have driven him, instead of finding this out, then going. So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I agree. It was a very touching moment. I'm like, yes, that's very sweet. And, it's just like serendipitous almost, and the fact that, Elizabeth was there with his mom and Jamie when she died. And honestly, I felt like it would have created a more emotional impact if they were already established and in love in their relationship. And then, when he brings her to meet his parents, and then they kind of have this, I recognize you. And then the story comes out. And I think that would have been just a more emotionally satisfying for that scene.
That would have been amazing if he had brought her home, and then the mother had that moment of recognition and just, hugged her, and he's wondering why she's hugging her or something. That would have been incredible, and I would have been crying. I would have been so emotionally invested in that scene. This is why you should write romance novels, woman. This is what.
Speaking of that, I have.
Get that published.
Yes. Ash is saying, I agree, it was very sweet and emotional, but I don't necessarily think it was the right choice for the turning point to send him back. Yes, I wanted his love for her to be more powerful than the grief he felt for losing his late spouse and his son. I mean, yes, that will be with him forever, because you love this woman and your child. Oh my goodness, yes, that'll be with you forever. But I wanted his love for her to be stronger than, and especially when he found out that it was actually her husband's, it's Tanner, but like her husband was the one driving the vehicle that, caused everything. And I wanted him to choose her instead of choosing hatred for that particular reason.
So here's something. Okay. So I found the quote I was looking for. And so this is where I think I'm also a little confused as the reader, because he was in love with her first, and then she fell in love with him and vocalized it. And so when he says that he loves her, he lifted up his chin with his finger and stared into my eyes. That's okay, he promised, in his low voice. I'm pretty sure I have enough love for the both of us. He was driving the relationship forward. And then I love the scene, you know, I was a little giddy when they were walking into her birthday party. And, you know, she says something about, you know, if we walk in, he says, if we walk in together, people will think we're a couple. And she says, aren't we? And, you know, he's really excited and giddy. And so I kind of wasn't sure why all of a sudden he was pulling back almost. It was almost like we, one step forward, two steps back almost, because
Right.
he was in love with her. And then all of a sudden he wasn't sure.
Yeah.
When did that happen? Because again, I don't want to call it the incident, but the accident. When that happened, that was her husband. That wasn't her fault. And
it wasn't her, yeah.
His love for her. And so when he left, I wasn't sure where that kind of love went.
Right. And honestly, and even there was a moment when he was talking to the shopkeeper where he was just like, I just need time for me. Like he was almost like feeling like, oh yeah, you're right. It's not her fault. Like she wasn't to blame. You know, she's not her husband, blah, 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 but he still left after that. He's still like, what? Oh, okay. Like you need time. Like, I understand you need to get back with your parents because you totally, you know, upset that relationship. And, that's another thing I want to talk about, but, but like, even after he was like, oh yeah, you're right. You know, it's like, it's not her fault. You know, it was her husband. And, I do love her, but then he still felt like he had to leave. I'm like, what?
What is it with men leaving in romance novels? Because this was Archer, and I got mad at him, but I still gave that book 5 stars. He's still my bookish husband. I love him. But what is it with romance novels with the heroes leaving? This is a reoccurring theme. And I don't know why all of a sudden they always they feel the need to go find themselves after they're in a relationship. I mean, they already seem pretty content to a certain degree, and now they're just off trying to realize, yes, I do love her like I thought I did in the first place. What is
right. Oh yeah, I do love her like I thought I did. You should trust your gut more often there. Yeah, well, seriously.
He was so in love with her, and he really was happy with her, and I really did like their relationship. The thing with the feathers, when he got them overnighted and he wanted them there for Emma, I thought that was really sweet. And he was there for her when she was crying. He spent time with the daughter. I mean, he kind of, made fun of it, but he did, he mowed her lawn and he was there for her. He even took her to his special spot saying, this is where I feel better. I mean, he shared stuff with her, and I really did like their relationship. But what is it with guys leaving in romance novels?
Yeah, I have no idea. Honestly, it's like they realize they love the person and then they get scared and then they're like, oh, I gotta go, and then something happens and it makes them like, no, this is worth it.
I can see Ash's comment. I think we're making her double. I think we're making her take a look back at the book. We're downing her rating.
Oh, it's funny because I read the book super quickly and it was such an emotional read that my initial thought was, oh man, that's great. But now looking back, it almost seemed like 2 separate books.
I mean, in all fairness, we are talking about the negatives first. I think we've been talking about those parts more than the parts we've liked, because there were things I liked, but I mean, I do that as well. There are certain books where I just get so invested and I want to just keep reading and it's 5 stars in my head, and then I look back, reread it slower because I know the ending, I know the story. I'm like, maybe that wasn't 5 stars. I mean, it was great, I liked it, I really did, but I mean, it wasn't without,
its flaws,
issues. But again, a lot of books have issues. I think every book has issues, even books that are wonderful. I mean, whether it's representation or diversity. I mean, Lord of the Rings, phenomenal. Female representation, not so good.
Right?
Every book, even though we're talking about the negatives, I don't think, it as really a bad thing. I mean, we're just having a discussion, being a little analytical, and I think that's great.
I think I just wanted to talk about the bad stuff first so we can end it on, like, if we talk about the good stuff, then it ends on a good note, and Marassa saying they're enneagrams type 4 people, they need to get a way to think. Yeah, that's it, absolutely. Everyone has like their personalities and way they cope and everything, and it just I know.
Why doesn't she ever have to go do soul searching? I very rarely, and none of them are jumping into, coming to mind immediately, thinking of a heroine who leaves the hero. But I can name right off the back several where the hero leaves the heroine. I'm trying to remember. I mean, if you can think of one where the heroine leaves the hero for, I think he was gone for 5-6 months. I mean,
yeah, a long time.
Yeah.
I was like, maybe a week, and then dang, and then when I thought it was him like writing the post-it notes when it wasn't Tanner, you know, he like he was saying like wait for me. When I thought it was him, I was like, no, you've been gone forever.
I mean, again, I kind of knew what the post-it notes thing was, especially because they weren't. Okay, here's the other thing about the post-it notes. Again, I feel like we're ripping this book apart right now, but I recognize handwriting. So did he look at Tristan's handwriting and say, I'm going to mimic that and mess with her head and play games? I mean, the handwriting alone should have signaled to her a different person, right? The way they,
yeah. Yeah, I'm just now thinking, I was like, why didn't I think of that? I was like, do you think their handwriting would be different?
Well, I mean, even the way people, I mean, I'm using their initials, but, you know, T, the way people cross the T's, whether it's straight, slanted, I mean, if there's a curve at the bottom going up, there are a lot of different ways to tell handwriting apart, especially because she left a lot of notes with him. So it wasn't as if we saw his handwriting a couple of times. This was something she said they did on a regular basis. So after a certain point, wouldn't you start to recognize it?
Plot hole.
Really good at finding them. Last time, you know, it was the ex-wife on Facebook who was gone from the guy's life and he couldn't find
never find her.
Yeah, I mean, I just noticed this stuff.
Yeah. Plot hole. Ash says the sweet and romantic and the just weird and out there parts. Oh yeah. I have a bad habit of getting emotionally attached to characters and just sort of overlooking the character flaws. No, yeah, totally. I mean, I want to see the good parts, and I think that's, you know, there are some really sweet moments. Honestly, I want to say not really a lot because, like I said, their portion of them together is very short. And it's just, you know.
We're convincing people to lower their ratings.
Miranda saying I'm laughing so hard right now because, yeah, I read it quickly, so I was all 4 stars, but now I'm not so sure.
I mean, I really liked the part with the feathers. I thought that was really cute and sweet, and I love Zeus. And Emma, I mean, Emma alone is worth at least 3 stars if you're going to downgrade it. I mean, she was adorable with her thing with zombies, and I really loved Elizabeth sticking up for her daughter to those.
Yes.
I mean, you know, that I always send it, the Christina Aguilera gif where, you know, praise be. I was so proud of her when she stood up for her daughter, and I'm going, yes, you are a really good mom. And Emma was so cute when she loved the zombies, and, you know, she wanted to do zombie voices when they were reading books to her. I mean, she was so cute and sweet. So, I mean, I do love certain details about this book. I mean, Emma alone made this a really good book for me. And so
I agree. I really love how, you know, I didn't like the book club ladies, just saying bad representation about book club ladies. But honestly, there were certain scenes where she was with those women and they were just like asking her questions and ripping her new ones. And, you know, and she felt like, and she stayed. And I'm like, you don't have to stay. If they're like, just go. You don't have to be with like a part of this group if you don't want to. But when they came over,
the blonde head character, and she's going, I know what that means. I mean, they were not nice people, and I mean, I'm right there with you.
Yeah, I'm just like, she's like, she didn't want to be there, and she felt like she couldn't leave, and I'm like, you can't leave, go. But yeah, when they came over and said that, you know, Emma was, you know, she was emotionally scarred and that's why she likes the zombies and the horror stuff. And when her mom stood up for her, it's like, no, she's not weird. And, you know, and she was really devastated. Like Emma's like, they called me weird and they didn't like, you know, whatever. And I felt so bad, but I was really proud that Elizabeth stuck up for her daughter. And I just wish she stuck up for herself more.
Especially, I really loved Elizabeth. I mean, again, we've been talking about, you know, the things we didn't like, but I really liked Elizabeth, generally speaking. I really liked her character. And I think she did forgive him too quickly at the end. I will say that. But she, you know, she did what she thought was best. So I understand her needing to distance herself for a year and move in with her mom. I mean, her relationship with her mother, we can get into that. That was a whole separate conversation. But I mean, I understood Elizabeth. I understood her perspective. And, you know, she really did just want to be a good mom. And that was her motivation. And I really, you know, I thought that was sweet and touching. And so I really wanted her to find happiness. I mean, I'm not really sure if, you know, she went about finding it in the best of ways, but she got it, which is great.
Yeah.
I really like her, though.
Yeah, I really enjoyed her too. She was a really great mom. She was strong and wanted to be there for her daughter. And especially the way her mom handled her dad leaving. And I just feel like it's just so crazy to me how different people handle situations, very kind of similar situations, and, for her mom, like her dad was the love of her life. But when that happened, she kind of just went on this downward spiral and started sleeping around with guys, and none of them would stick. And like Elizabeth was just 180 the other way. Her focus was on her daughter. And I think that was just because maybe she wished her mom had that focus, like, when she was going through that situation. So yeah, I really love the mom, Elizabeth. She was honestly a really great mom.
And so I also think she was relatable and realistic. So I do this too. When she says, just for future reference, when I have a breakdown about my mother, you're supposed to agree with me no matter how much of my logic I am missing. And so, I mean, yeah, when you're upset, you don't want someone, pointing out your flaws or why your logic might not be the best. When you're upset, you do want someone to comfort you. And so in that moment, I was just going, I get you, Elizabeth. I understand.
Yeah, seriously. When I'm ranting and raving about someone, you're supposed to be like, egging me on, clapping, doing the preach, not, pointing out all the holes in my story, so.
Well, I mean, for me, again, things at school haven't been the best for me this year. And so there are times when I'm really upset, I'll call my mom and I just need to vent. And then the next day I can look at things a little bit more critically. But in the moment, I just need to vent.
Right, absolutely.
I related to Elizabeth so hard in that moment. I was going, I understand you. I get it. I have those moments too.
Ash is saying there are a lot of parts I really enjoyed, so I'll probably leave the rating, but it's so interesting to talk about everyone's opinion and what they saw in the book. And she also says, I really like the best friend. She was hysterical. I feel like Faye is my spirit animal. And I love her quote, filters are for cigarettes, not people. And I feel like that's my life.
That. Favorite count.
I was like, that is my life motto. Like, seriously, she is hilarious. She was so funny.
She just had no qualms. She just, she knew what she wanted and she just went for it. I loved it when she said, I did something really stupid. I fell in love. I mean, she just had these great one-liners and she really was the comedic relief for this book because Absolutely. It was a heavy read. I mean, even if you didn't cry, it wasn't exactly, a fun, uplifting read for a lot of it because it was dealing with loss.
Mm-hmm.
But she really did make me smile and laugh. And I mean, her relationship with Maddie was, ridiculous, but it was hysterical. I mean,
yeah, I think seriously, every time Faye spoke, I was laughing. That's literally the truth of it.
I don't even know if the author kind of came up with some of those words or not, but I hadn't seen them before. It was like sexflationship or something.
Yeah, sexflation. I couldn't even think of how to pronounce it. I was just like, sexlationship. Okay. All right. Doesn't exactly roll off the tongue, but you're right. I was like, she definitely has a way with words, Faye. I feel like she was saying what we all were thinking and just don't have the nerve to say. Yeah, seriously,
With the dog, that was hysterical. when she kind of bonded with Tristan in a very weird way. So she was mad. I'm trying to be so proper and polite here, but there's a certain I don't
say it, girl.
No, I don't think you hear me swear on my channel. I try to be very proper when I do my videos.
No worries.
Dogs, they do certain things, and so she wanted, a certain number of what the dog had done and left in the yard, and she wanted to leave that on someone's porch on fire, and so she asked Tristan's help, and then they lit the porch on fire by accident, and I was laughing so hard at that. And when Tristan goes home and Elizabeth goes, "What's that smell?" and he's saying, "You really don't want to know, sweetie," and him and her bonded.
I thought it was really, really cute how they were first collecting said specimen and she was telling him the story and then he's finally, without missing a beat, he's like, I think Zeus went to the bathroom in my backyard and I didn't pick it up. I think there's, there's more out there that we could she's like, awesome. And so I just think that their bonding moment, weird as it might be, was super cute.
She was hysterical, though. I mean, and then they lit the porch on fire. That was so funny. That was hysterical. I was laughing so hard at that. I mean,
I was too.
because I didn't see that coming. I mean, those are those moments where no matter how well versed you are in literature, sometimes things just take you off guard, and that was one of them. Because I did not. I mean, those moments are so awesome to me. That's why we say. I mean, again, leave the rating. Like, I don't mean for this to sound like a rant or we're piecing the part, picking apart the book piece by piece. But I mean, that moment made me laugh. I mean, I love the best friend. She again. Maybe add another star. Emma's worth 3. The best friend's worth another. Give this a 4-star rating.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, obviously we're discussing the book and we don't mean to change your rating at all, but it's just, I think that's, part of having a book club and discussing the book is just really kind of just picking at all the pieces that you really thought about, like you really, that were thought provoking. But yeah, I loved Faye. She was honestly like one of the best characters in the book. She was so funny. I like how when Elizabeth comes into the diner and she's looking for a job and she's like, "You're fired." Like, you can't fire people. And then he was so scared, like, "You're not fired. It's okay." And she's like, "No, you are fired. Get out of here."
I was laughing so hard at that. She was willing to just, make room for her. And the thing is too, this is why I think I also really loved her instantly, was the other woman had just been giving Elizabeth doubts and worries that they were full and they didn't need to hire. Then all of a sudden she walks in the door, her best friend's going, "I don't care if I don't have a place for you. I will make a place for you." And I'm going, "You are the sweetest human being on the face of the earth. I love you." Because this other woman had just been terrible to her. And then you have the complete, antithesis over there saying, "No, you matter. I'm making room for you." And I just loved her right off the bat for that.
Yeah, those women that were a part of like the book club women, she was, every time they spoke, and I even think I made a comment about this on my Kindle version, like these women just have like those backhanded compliments, that are just, when she's like, "Oh, I'm just going to go to the diner and see if they have a job opening." And she was like, "Don't you think that's kind of a step backwards?" I'm just like, "Oh, a job is a job." Oh my gosh.
Yeah, they were, yeah, because I agree with you. To a certain degree, a year is not exactly a long time to be dealing with the loss of a spouse, but the women called her out on it on her birthday.
On her birthday.
On her birthday, they were calling out her relationship with Tristan. And
Yeah.
what do you do with that? That's so inappropriate.
It is. Like, seriously, there were some of those comments. I'm like, who are you to say anything? Then judge me. And everyone deals with grief differently. Everyone moves on differently, if they do move on at all. And just the fact that you're going to make her feel bad for having one iota of happiness in the crap storm that's been her life for the last year and a half, I'd say, you know what? Stop talking to me.
Again, that's why I think I loved her, because on one hand, she didn't stick up for herself, but the second her daughter got involved, her backbone, she wasn't saying, yep. As soon as the daughter was involved, as soon as it came to some, the love, again, she loves Tristan, but like the daughter is the love of her life. As soon as it came to the daughter, that was when, nope, not dealing with you anymore. And that was when it all, shifted and changed.
Absolutely. I think she had that mentality where she was like, "I can handle anything said about me, but you say one thing about my kid and, Mama Bear comes out." And I love that. I love that in a character. Ash is saying, "No, I think it's great to hear everyone's opinion and kind of looking at it in detail. It's just so interesting to see how we all notice different details. Not two people ever read the same book." That's, very true. Different opinions. We notice different things. We take away certain things. And yeah, I agree. That's why I love reading. It's just really, it's a great way for people to discuss and, make people think.
I also don't think you ever read the same book twice yourself, because you've changed, you've evolved, and your mentality when you pick up certain books will change the reading experience. The location you're in, if you're on the plane and the person behind you is kicking your seat, versus if you're in, late at night, maybe you're a little too tired, maybe, other times you just really want to relax and that's your Saturday. There's so many different ways to influence your reading experience.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like, like you read, like I was, that's why I like keeping my books, because I like to reread books, because like, yeah, a lot of these books I've had since I was building my library and I was 16 years old. And if I read them now, I'm 28. Of course, I have different thoughts, different opinions, different views now than I did when I was 16. So when I read this book again, I probably, will get different things out of it, and do I notice every single detail when I read a book for the first time? Heck no. I'm going to pick up on different stuff if I read it multiple times.
I mean, there are certain books where I was just so emotionally invested. I don't know if I'll ever want to reread them again because I really love that moment and I just want to kind of hold on to that memory. I mean, there's one book, I think I've talked about it a little, and I filmed a book review. I haven't posted it yet. I filmed it forever ago. I always tell you guys, it takes me forever to edit. I'm so nitpicky when it comes to editing. It takes me forever. I mean, one video can take me hours to edit, and so I haven't had the time to edit lately. So I'm really behind. I have a backlog of videos I need to edit. But one of them is Transcendence by Shea Savage. That book, I was so invested. I was up till 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, just hyperventilating, crying. I was so emotionally invested. And I read this book, I think, a year ago. And again, I told you I'm backlogged with, editing. I was not kidding. It's on my Kindle, and I came across it, and I'm going, no, I'm not going to reread this because I just want to kind of cherish that, moment, because I'll always remember staying up till 4:35 in the morning just crying because it was just so well written to me. But I was so invested. I wasn't looking at the details because I was so emotionally into this relationship.
I love that. I love that. That's just like there are just certain times when you read a book and you really connect and you have that memory for the rest of your life. You'll have that. And it's just awesome. I love that.
I mean, yeah, even Harry Potter. I mean, I've reread that series a number of times, and obviously, I first read it. I remember the books were coming out. I used to have to go run to go get the book the day it was published.
Yeah,
that reading experience. This was pre-Twitter and stuff, but I still don't want to get spoiled. So I wanted to read the book before I went to school and someone said something. I mean, there are all sorts of things that influence your experiences.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it was when Deathly Hallows came out. I went after school, went with my mom, and we picked it up. So, and after dinner, I started reading it, and I stayed awake until I remember this vividly. I'm sitting up in my bed like this, and I'm reading the book, and I remember closing the book when it was done, and then I look up, and then the sun is just coming, like rising and coming through my my blinds in my window, and I thought it was just the most beautiful thing, and I will remember that, forever. Like, finishing the book, closing it, looking up, and then, the sun starts coming through my window. And I just thought that was so cool.
That's amazing. I mean, I remember just shutting myself up in my room. And when I was in high school, I think I alluded to, I'm always alluding to this because I'm one of those people where I always like to be busy. And when I was in high school, it was ridiculous. It was way over the top. I was awake at 4:30, 4 in the morning every day.
Yeah.
I was, the president and, vice president of all these clubs. And, I was in all these AP classes and I was always busy, always doing something. It was insane. I mean, I'm still a student doing the PhD, but when I was in high school, it was ridiculous. Looking back, I can't believe how dedicated I was. But I remember I took the entire weekend off to go read Harry Potter. As busy as I was, as dedicated, and as, I always felt the need to be productive. I had that moment of, no, I'm going to go read Harry Potter.
You made time to read Harry Potter.
It was a priority.
Yes.
That book was getting read. But again, that was something at that point in time where that was a big deal for me. And I always read it. I've always been a reader, but to say I'm putting an entire weekend aside to go read this book, I'll always remember that.
That's amazing. I love that. Ash says, I'm a huge rereader. I love looking back and seeing what has or hasn't changed, in my opinion. I've been really wanting to pick up Shea Savage books, and it sounds great. Yeah, I wrote it down because I'm going to read it.
Transcendence was the one where I was up to, again, I have the video. I haven't finished. I have the raw footage to turn into the video. So there's Transcendence. That one I loved. Another good one is Declan. I read that. Transcendence is still my pinnacle of Shea Savage. I love that book. And then you have Declan. And then another one that's really good is Win Some, Lose Some. I love that book. I have a video film, but I haven't edited it yet. I love it. That one, I would say Transcendence and then Win Some, Lose Some for her are my two. She has another series, but again, I'm not really big on cheating and other women and stuff like that. So I'm not really into the series that she wrote as much as those 2 books. Win Some, Lose Some. Here's the thing about her books, and this is what, one of my big things with her. She writes from the male perspective. It's not it's not even dual perspective. It's from the guy's perspective. And
that's awesome.
It's really interesting. And so for Win Some, Lose Some, he has autism. And so he's uncomfortable. He's not really sure how to proceed. But then this really popular girl in school starts to show interest in him, and, it changes his life. His name's Matthew. And so the story picks up from there, and it's just your heartstrings, because you just love him. And he's been through a lot in his life, and you just want him to be happy. And so I love that book. It was so well written. And then Transcendence. Again, I haven't posted this book review, but this book, the reason why I think I loved it so much, not only is it told from the male perspective, but there is literally maybe 2% dialogue in the book because he can't talk.
Oh.
And so he also can't. The whole thing is their love transcends time, language. Yeah. So the main character, his name's Ed, and so he's living on his own. It's kind of prehistoric times. He's quote unquote like a Neanderthal, kind of. I mean, he understands stuff. But then Bay, her name's Elizabeth, but he can't say Elizabeth, so he just calls her Bay. She gets back in time because her dad's a scientist, but they can't communicate, so they have to rely on signing and pointing and things like that, and it's so well done. I mean, I've never read anything else like that book, and so it's utterly unique. She really captures his voice. Again, I don't know about details. I haven't gone back. I told you I want to just hold on to the emotional reading experience. Right. Details, I don't want to look back at it, but I recommend those 2.
Awesome. Yeah, so I wrote those down. I'm gonna be reading that immediately. Marassa is saying I'm a rereader as well. I have auto-buy authors. Oh yeah, absolutely. I have auto-buy authors. But this year I'm trying to find new authors. Love it. Ash Hart's books. Haha, awesome. Can't wait for the videos. Writing from the male perspective can go, say right or so wrong, in my opinion. That's true.
It works for me because it's not the typical alpha hero perspective that you're getting, because for Transcendence, you have, he's kind of, again, prehistoric, very different mentality. And then for Win Some, Lose Some, he's a beta hero. He's not the alpha hero. He's a beta hero. And again, he's very emotional. He's great. I love Matthew in Win Some, Lose Some. If you don't like that book, I'm sorry, but for me, I really enjoyed it. And, if you don't enjoy it after my recommendation, I apologize, but I really did like it. He's not your typical hero, and I think she's able to capture those voices because they're not the usual go-to romance heroes. So I think that's why it works for her. And now I'm just preaching Shay Savage. You guys are like,
I love add Shay Savage to my TBR. Yeah, definitely. I love that.
Hey, you said you wanted new authors, right?
Let me see if I have any more notes that I want to go over. I did write notes. And
if there's something about this book, I mean, what was your favorite part? Because you guys both gave it high ratings. You gave it 4 out of 5 stars, both of you. So if Ash and Morris and whoever else is dropping in and out, and staring numbers fluctuated from 4 to 10, back down to 4 to 5. I mean, I don't know who's watching, but what was your favorite part of this book? Let us know. As you look for your notes.
I know. I was like, because we've we've talked about a lot of my notes so far. So, one thing that I didn't really like so much is,
of course, we're back on.
sorry. It kind of rubbed me the wrong way. It was, let me get into the actual page here. Oh, I don't want that. Okay. So when Elizabeth's mom and her go to church after losing their dad, when Mama called God a liar and scorned the townsfolk for wasting time on such deceit and empty promises of a promised land, Pastor Reese asked us not to come back for a while to let things smooth out a bit. I thought that was really wrong, because being, I have my faith, and, you go to church and you have your church family. And when you go through something like that, for the pastor to tell them not to come back when they're obviously in such a time of need, that was just really wrong to me. And if there are people out there who ever had an experience like that, I'm sorry. That is just so terrible and so not the way that me and my church family are. So that I'm just like, it kind of like took me aback a little bit as I read that. Like the pastors asked us not to come back. I like reeled. I'm like, oh my goodness, what? And yeah, it's people, like I said, when grief affects people differently, some people lose their faith. And I just think that was just really sad to me.
I mean, I completely understand. That line caught me off guard as well. I was almost curious if the mother had done or said something else in addition to what she witnessed. I was curious if there was more to that story, because we already know the mother kind of derailed after the loss of her husband. So I wasn't sure if there was more there that she just didn't know perspective-wise. But that did catch my attention as well, actually. But I mean, with that being said, again, I went to private Catholic school. There were some priests who were not the nicest human beings, and it's really interesting when people who preach, kindness or that, themselves not exactly kind-hearted human beings. So in a way, I actually, it didn't, I mean, again, I know it, really caught your attention and bugged you, but like, I actually wasn't that surprised.
Yeah, I was like, wow, he's saying not to come back when these people obviously, needed reassurance in their family. And it's just because I had a very different experience, with my church family. When bad and terrible things happen, you pull together, not push people away. And that was just kind of weird to me.
Oh, no, I mean, he shouldn't have said that. Especially, I mean, if he didn't think she belonged with the rest of the church group, he could have always offered one-on-one counseling. He could have always said, maybe you and I should speak privately if you're not comfortable with, the group. There were alternatives to him saying, don't come back.
Right.
That's where I think he could have taken it and said, okay, I have, every Thursday at, 2:00 or something. You want to set up a, standing appointment or something, just do something.
Yeah.
Just something.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally agree. It's like, you could have, no, that's just totally wrong. This is when page 28 is my notes. My note says, I have a feeling their spouses were killed in the same accident. Page 28.
It was in chapter 2 where I'm going, it's right there.
Yeah, it's right there. I was like, yeah, I have a feeling it's gonna be bad.
Oh, and Ash, you like the part with the feather scene. That was my favorite part as well. I love the feathers. I love how you find out he overnighted the feathers, especially because he was a little abrasive and rough around the edges. I don't think he was a monster. We already talked about that. I don't think he justified or qualified as a monster. But the feathers show this, the softest side of him. I also, this is just a random little side note, I love the fact he had children's tattoos.
My dogs are barking. I was like, ooh.
He had the tattoos of the children's books from his, his son's favorite, lines and his favorite books. I thought that was just the sweetest. So here's the guy who's rough around the edges, but he really does have a soft side to him. The feathers, having Aslan and Alice Wonderland, the quotes on him. She's making faces.
Sorry. I'm just like, when that part came up in the book and that how he has tattoos, I think tattoos are attractive, but when they are bookish tattoos, I'm just like, yeah.
You're like, what was that? What are you
I hear my husband and my dogs, going crazy.
Oh my gosh. No, I love the reaction. No, I mean, here's the guy. I mean, the feather scene. I loved it when he showed his softer side. I mean, again, he was, he was the easiest guy to approach. He was a little standoffish, but I mean, I get it.
Yeah.
I'm not holding that against him, but the tattoos, the feathers, I mean, and then even the bookcase, excuse me, it's 9:30 here my time, so I'm getting a little tired. I don't mean to get tongue-tied. No, but when he had the bookcase that he built for his wife after the fact with his son's favorite books, I mean, you just kind of had to fall in love with him just a little bit.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's and that in the prologue when he's talking to Jamie, it's like, when I come home, I'm building you your dream library, and with the bookcases and everything. And I was like, this is my dream man. And my husband is actually building my bookcases for me too. So I guess I married my dream man.
Aww, you're so cute.
I was like, yes, it's so wonderful. And they're gorgeous. These aren't the built ones. It's in my office, but Another thing.
I want you to build me a bookcase. That would be,
Yeah. I mean, I think you've seen them before because I think when we had our discussion or our write-in, I was sitting at my desk and I was just could see it on the side there. These are just regular ones. But Ash agrees. Yes, the tattoos were just perfect. He was definitely a hardened guy and hard to get through his exterior, so I love seeing his sweet side. Yes. Wonderful.
there's something about, again, for romance novels, they always tell you, and I've read every single how-to writing romance book there is, there's always that moment when they say you have to make your alpha hero vulnerable. And I think she was able to capture that in this book. He was, he was the alpha hero. He was that kind of, big guy. Again, I picture like a lumberjack look on him. I just do because
like the brownie paper towel guy.
Not so much that, but I mean, I do picture kind of a rugged guy when it comes to him. And so he does have that kind of marshmallow, internal. And I mean, she was able to, I mean, again, good writing. She was able to capture the alpha with also the vulnerable. And that's hard to do. A lot of romance writers, they don't really nail it to a certain degree, but I think she did. I mean, again, I wasn't happy with him when he left, but in terms of characterizations and him being, a guy you're rooting for, I did, root for him. I wanted him to be happy. I mean, the whole how they got there, again, questionable, but I was rooting for him. I did, want him to have that happily ever after. I really did like him. I mean, the tattoos, I mean, again, I'm actually kind of the opposite. Tattoos, I'm just not used to them. And so I always feel like they have to mean something. And so not always, but I like tattoos to have a reason or a story. I mean, if you just think it's a cool symbol, I mean, that's fine. You be you, you do you, no judgment. Yeah. But for me, if I see tattoos, I kind of want to see a story or see a reason to have them. And so he had that. And I really liked that and related to that. And I just, little marshmallow center.
Yeah, I really, I like how you said that she captures it. She writes it very well because with some authors that I've, not a lot, but like there are some books that I've read that the author just misses the mark on it, and I really think she did this really well and did Tristan justice about the, the vulnerability and the soft side. So.
I mean, I also appreciate the fact that the feathers kind of, going back there for a second, how Elizabeth found out and he didn't take credit. So this is something else too. This is a Mr. Darcy type of thing where you do something because it's the right thing to do, because you love her and you want the best situation to occur, but you don't care if you get, proper credit and she's not falling to your arms because of that. You're doing it because it's the right thing to do. And he wanted Emma and the feathers to be happy.
Yeah, absolutely. The Mr. Darcy moment.
Mr. Darcy reference in there. I can't help it. It's just...
Well, we love Mr. Darcy. I think
version of Mr. Darcy we're talking.
I think that we've hit all of the notes that I have. I'm just
while you look, I will just say I did like, again, talking about why we like Tristan. I really liked it when he proposed to Emma as well as Elizabeth. I thought that was really sweet. I've seen that before in books and in movies where they'll become the stepfather or stepmother and they'll give them, either a pendant or do something to kind of symbolize, I'm taking you on into my life as well. But I loved how he had a little box and a little ring just for her. I thought that was very sweet. And that was, a really great moment.
Yeah, I loved it too. It was very, very sweet. And they were like, they were the wood, like he like made them and like, that was sweet.
Yeah, I mean, again, there were things I liked in this book.
Yes. There were some that I liked. Yes, there were.
I loved how he proposed to her and he says, Emma, will you marry me too? And she tells the mother to say yes. I love how Emma was involved in the proposal. And it wasn't, I mean, again, sometimes you read books or you see stories where, the couple will go get engaged and then come back and tell the child. I loved how she was a part of that narrative. I love how she was there for that proposal. And then he proposed to her too. I really liked that.
Yeah, I did.
Smiling and nodding, going, yeah, so.
I know, it's just so cute, and it's just like, oh, he doesn't even skip a beat. He just like pulls out the other ring box in his pocket and just like, Emma, will you marry me too? And I'm like, oh, so adorable. Oh my gosh.
I also really like the fact they had children of their own too. I mean, that was something I wasn't sure how that was going to fit into the story. If he had the child, he lost the child. I wasn't sure how that was going to factor into his decision to for future children. I knew he loved Emma and he was going to adopt her and she was going to be his. I knew that was coming. But, you know, they already had one child.
Yeah. And she was pregnant with another.
Charlie was the previous child who passed away. I'm trying to remember. They had another son.
Colin.
What was it?
Colin, I think. Colin. I'm not
Charlie was the one who passed away, I'm pretty sure, right? And then so Colin was the new, recent addition to their family.
Yeah.
And then they had a child on the way. And so, I mean, I thought that was really sweet. You know, the whole happily ever after. I really, you know, heartstrings.
Yeah, I loved that epilogue. It was so, I was just like, oh, they have more babies. I love it.
We didn't talk about that. This is again something with the relationship. They never had that discussion because for, you know, 60% of it, they were pretending the other person was them, you know, involved in the bed. So, you know, they never had that conversation about children. So when you got to that epilogue, wasn't really sure where that was gonna, you know, be heading. If it was just him and Emma and Elizabeth living, you know, in their little house, you know, maybe they built an add-on and made, you know, two houses one. I wasn't sure it was gonna happen. But the fact that they had kids, and I also liked how he referenced Charlie as his child. You know, he's not gonna forget Charlie.
Right.
I really liked that as well. I mean, again, heartstrings.
Yes.
You know, he wasn't holding on to his past, but at the same time, he was moving forward, but he wasn't going to forget. I really liked how it was all balanced out.
Yeah, I really like how it ended. I really like how everything worked out, and you can tell that they were really, truly happy with each other and not just, you know, with the ghosts of their late spouses.
Does anyone else have any thoughts or comments about the book or anything else you want to talk about? I mean, we covered Tanner, Emma, Elizabeth. We've kind of covered all of our bases.
I think we've covered. Like I said, we talked about all of my notes that I had, so that's good. If you have any kind of other things that we want to talk about, we do have to go through what we're planning for next month.
Well, first we gotta do our book choices for yes. We gotta do our book choices.
Yes, got to do our book choices for next month, and I have mine. I mean, if we want to wait a little bit, I have mine all pulled up. I take pictures. It's easier to take pictures. Okay. Do you want to go first?
So I'm actually going to let you, I mean, again, I feel like our viewership is fluctuating up and down. So maybe I think Ash has been Ash and Morris have been our, you know, dedicated viewers tonight.
Been our constant companions.
Yes, I might ask you too to decide my second choice because I still don't know what I want to do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Those options. So basically the first one was Love on Cue by Mia Sosa. That was my first one, and I thought it sounded really interesting. I also met her at Politics and Prose. I think she was the cutest, sweetest human being. She was just really, I mean, really liked her. I really enjoyed meeting her. So basically, after a very public breakup with a politician, fitness trainer Tori escapes to Aruba. And then when she comes back from her vacation on the plane, she happens to meet an individual. She's very attracted to him. But after her recent public breakup, you know, she's media shy and doesn't want another public figure as her boyfriend or another public relationship. And so the guy on the plane doesn't look anything like Carter Stone with the beard and everything else, but that's who she's sitting next to, and he's an actor. He's very famous, and he's got the shaggy beard because he's preparing for a role. And so, again, she's a fitness trainer. Guess who her next client is? The shaggy-haired, you know, she's got this celebrity. And so you're curious how this media-shy girl is going to work with this Hollywood actor. And I think it's really interesting, especially because she also kind of works for him as well. And, you know, training, she's going to be training him. And, you know, getting to know him, you know, there's no out. You're going to be with that person the entire training session. So I think there's a lot to see how that kind of progresses. I thought that was a really interesting premise.
Yes.
I think she writes, this is also a diverse book. So I think that's also important to find. I don't know if we've had that before.
Yeah, I like that.
So I want to make sure we include that at some point in time. So yeah, I'm really rooting for that book to a certain degree.
Yeah, I looked it up and I was reading the synopsis for it. I'm like, yes, this sounds so good. You always have like the best book picks. I like applaud you for your book picks. They're amazing.
Well, one of your book picks is actually probably going to be one of mine. I've had it on my to be read forever. I don't know if
Mhm.
you want to tell if you want to pitch that one next, but I would actually really want to read this one as well.
Well, my first book pick is a historical romance. It's called Never Seduce a Scot by Maya Banks. I absolutely love Maya Banks. I am slowly but surely buying everything she's ever written and reading through them. I just love her stories and her world buildings. I can't even talk. And premise of this book is Eveline Armstrong is fiercely loved and protected by her powerful clan, but outsiders consider her touched. Beautiful, fey, with a level, intent gaze, she doesn't speak. No one, not even her family, knows that she cannot hear. Content with her life of seclusion, Eveline has taught herself to read lips and allows the outside world to view her as daft. But when an arranged marriage into a rival clan makes Graham Montgomery her husband, Eveline accepts her duty, unprepared for the delights to come. Graham is a rugged warrior with a voice so deep and powerful that his new bride can hear it, and hands and kisses so tender and skilled that he stirs her deepest passions. Graham is intrigued by the mysterious Eveline, whose silent lips are ripe with temptation and whose bright, intelligent eyes can see into his soul. As intimacy deepens, he learns her secret, but when clan rivalries and dark deeds threaten the wife he has only begun to cherish, the Scottish warrior will move heaven and earth to save the woman who has awakened his heart to the beautiful song of a rare and magical love. And I just thought that description was just so sweet. It has lots of things going on, like probably action, adventure, romance. She can't speak. It's very, she can't hear. I think I can't wait to, I mean, I want to eventually read this book, but yeah, I'm kind of pulling for this one. It's one of my, this is a favorite one that I have. So, so that's my first one. And I know do you have two choices for your second one?
Yeah, I was gonna let you guys choose which one my second choice was, but I was just pulling it up. So I added this to my to be read list December 2017. So I've had this one on my list for a little while, to say the least. I was just putting the Goodread links to the books in the chat. So Never Seduce a Scot. So I was gonna let you guys choose my next one. So basically, because again, we've had 3 contemporaries right in a row. So Mia Soso is my contemporary. And so I'm going to let you guys choose my second one. So we have, again, two choices. We have a dark romance. And then we also have a young adult / new adult. So the young adult, new adult is Letters to the Lost. And so I've had this on my to be read list for a very long time, since it came out April 4th, 2017. I've had this for a very long time. But it is now nominated for the Reader Award, so it is a romance. It is just a young adult romance. I'm pulling up a little summary.
Okay.
Juliet Young always writes letters to her mother, a world-traveling photojournalist. Even after her mother's death, she leaves letters at her grave. It's the only way Juliet can cope. Declan Murphy isn't the sort of guy you want to cross. In the midst of his court-ordered community service at the local cemetery, he's trying to escape the demons of his past. When Declan reads a haunting letter left beside a grave, I have my Starbucks if I get any more tongue-tied, he can't resist writing back. Soon he's opening up to a perfect stranger, and their connection is immediate. I love epistolary novels. So immediately I was intrigued. Neither Declan nor Juliet knows that they're not actually strangers. Intrigue. When life at school interferes with their relationship, we got Starbucks. When life at school interferes with their secret life of letters, sparks will fly as Juliet and Declan discover truths that might tear them apart.
Oh, I like that.
So I read P.S. I Like You. And so they're writing letters to each other on their desks. And so again, they're defacing public property, but we won't get into that. But I love the idea of writing letters. I think it's so adorable that they're in high school, and I kind of want to know what he's doing community service for. I think that's part of also one of my mystery elements. I want to know why he's in a cemetery. Not something you usually get for community service. And again, depressing, but we're dealing with loss again and how she's going to be overcoming that. But I love epistolary novels. I love them. So I'm throwing that out there as my second choice.
That sounds really, really cool. I like that as well. I like that premise. So
should I just make that my second choice and not even get into the bad guy?
I mean, I'm kind of curious of like what the other one is, so I want you to talk about your other one too. So
the other one, again, here's the thing. If we're gonna be doing a book club, you want to have a book that you can talk about, and I feel like this might be one of them. So we have Sebastian, and his line is, "I'm the villain of this story." So right off the bat, I don't know if he's an anti-hero, if he's going to be a terrible alpha hero. I don't know what he's going to be, but he thinks he's a villain. I've decided to lay myself bare, to tell the truth for once in my hollow life, no matter how dark it gets. And this is a dark romance. So I have a very sweet young adult, and then I have a dark one. Some of these guys like complete polar opposites. And I can assure you it will get so dark you'll find yourself feeling around the blackened corners of my mind, seeking a door handle that can't be there. So again, polar opposites. Don't mistake this for a confession. I neither seek forgiveness nor would I accept it. My sins are my own. They keep me company. Instead, this is a true tale of how I found her, how I stole her, and how I lost her. This is a romance, though, so it's a happily ever after. I don't know why it says lost her. She was a damsel, one who already had her white knight. So I don't know what's going on there. But every fairy tale has a villain. Someone waiting in the wings to rip it all apart and down. A scoundrel who will set the world on fire to get what he wants. That's me. I'm the bad guy.
I like that one too.
So we have a couple options. What do we want? Would we like the bad guy, or would we like the very sweet young adult? I'm putting them both here for you to click on. That's the bad guy, link on Amazon, and then I will include Letters to the Lost over here for Goodreads. I don't know why I didn't have the other one. Two very different options. I feel as if for the bad guy, again, a lot to unpack and talk about. So, and then for the other one, again, there's always a lot to talk about, but in a different way, a very sweet way.
I feel like I don't even want to discuss my other pick. I think we have our 4 picks.
Well, what was your other one? What was the other one?
It was Jewels of the Sun by Nora Roberts. It is Nora Roberts returns to the lush green hills of Ireland, where love is forever touched by magic, and where the Gallagher siblings explore the depth of their fiery hearts. Determining to reevaluate her life, Jude Murray flees America to take refuge in the Fairy Hill Cottage, immersing herself in the study of Irish folk and discovers hope for the future of the magical past. Finally, back home in Ireland after years of traveling, Aidan Gallagher possesses an uncommon understanding of his country's haunting myths. Although he's devoted to managing the family pub, a hint of wildness still glints in his stormy eyes. And in Jude, he sees a woman who can both soothe his heart and stir his blood. He begins to share the legends of the land with her while they create a passionate history of their own. I've had this book for a very, very long time, and I haven't read it. And I was going through my books, and I'm just like, Nora Roberts is always a win for me. That's my second pick.
I know. I wanted to go double check because I just pulled the Goodreads link and submitted it to the chat. I wanted to double check. Yeah, that is the first one in the series because I always hear the Gallagher brothers. That's one of the go-tos that people reference. I had that moment of, did I read this already? I'm going, no, I didn't.
Yeah, that's what I was like when I search on Goodreads. I want to make sure I pick books that Angela hasn't read either. So I try to see like, oh, she marked it as want to read. Perfect. Awesome.
Well, I didn't feel badly pitching the dark one. I mean, I also don't think it's that dark. I mean, because it is categorized as a romance, and the ratings were really high for that one, so I didn't feel badly pitching it because I usually don't pitch dark ones, but I just it's on my to-be read list. I forget why, but I didn't mind pitching that because I know you've actually read several dark romances.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yep. And honestly, I'll read anything. If Angela recommends it, I'm going to read it just because her and I have very similar reading tastes. So I trust her explicitly. Ash Hart's books. Oh, I think I'm going to have to vote Letters to the Lost just because it's been on my TBR for a while, but the dark romance sounds pretty juicy. Right? Yes. I mean, I think that's like, those are great. I have read and loved other Maya Banks books too. Yeah, I love Maya Banks so much.
And I think I kind of wanted to throw in a couple options to let you guys choose because we've had 3 contemporaries back to back to back. So, I mean, again, Mia Sosa, she's my contemporary recommendation, and so I wasn't sure what my second choice was going to be if we wanted something, you know, young adult, sweet. I mean, again, I don't know how sweet it's going to be. I haven't read this, and I also avoided spoilers. But we have the young adult, and then we have something different. So it depends on what you guys want to vote on.
Yeah. Marassa is saying, so hard to pick. Woo. Hi, Max. Hi, Max.
He's awake now.
Marassa is saying, it's so hard to pick. I like Never Seduces Scott and Letters to the Lost. So we got 2 votes for Letters to the Lost.
Yeah, so I mean, that can be my second pick. I'm fine with that. You guys chose it.
Now my dogs are barking.
I don't know. Because I live in the apartment building, so every time someone in the hallway makes noise, Max is on the
Yep.
The Letters to the Lost, it is. I will add that to the Twitter, and we will have our 4 choices for you to vote on.
Yay!
I know, I want to read Letters to the Lost. It's nominated for Rita. They haven't announced the winners yet, obviously, but it's nominated, and so, again, I've had it since publication. I've owned it for a while. You know, I probably downloaded it when it was still full price or something.
Yeah.
You know, publication price. So, I mean, this is something I really do want to read. And I love my epistolary novels. I love when they're writing letters. And I think it's so much fun in romances because you always see characters differently, and they always write as if they're free, and their emotions are different on paper. I mean, and, you know, even in a Cinderella story, which had Michael Murray there, you know, he was, you know, who he wanted to be when he was with her because he was writing to her. So letters are just, they're beautiful. I love letters.
Yeah, honestly, my husband and I mean, I have, like, kind of running back to the book, I have a tin of letters that my husband and I, like, we wrote to each other when we were dating in high school, and I just thought that was, like, really sweet. And, you know, I feel like I can get so much off my chest and just write down my feelings much more eloquently than when I'm sitting and talking. So I love letters too, and I just think that's really sweet.
Well, speaking of letters, next week there is a movie that has a letter with 10 things that they hate about someone.
Oh, yes. Next Tuesday for our Who Picked This Movie, we are going to be watching 10 Things I Hate About You with the beautiful and amazing Julia Stiles and Heath Ledger. I love it so much.
Last Ash, good night. Thank you so much.
Bye. Thanks for joining us. But so yeah, the movie pick for this month is going to be 10 Things I Hate About You, and we will be watching that 5 o'clock Mountain Standard Time.
8 o'clock my time.
8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time.
That's the thing. Every time I was just saying goodnight to her, putting it in the chat. So basically, yeah, every time I'm always like, the time difference, don't forget.
Yes.
Need that. I always have to. No, so yeah, you're gonna be all fresh-faced and just home off of work, and you know, tonight I'm wearing my shirt that says "Need Coffee," and I feel as if it might be accurate.
Yeah, exactly.
And then, so again, we're just taking over Tuesdays. We are just taking over.
I love it.
This is your idea.
I want to be here every Tuesday.
Yeah, I love our discussions. I love talking about romances. I love you. I love your face. You know, you're just so sweet. And I love our group. We have like the best. We have the best. We have the best.
You're the best people. Oh gosh. Deleting that.
Did I just miss something?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I don't see it. Anyway, so the third Tuesday.
Yeah, I just troll in the dungeon, and I just reported it, so it's fine.
I deleted it.
Okay, good. But yeah, so the Tuesday after that, so not next Tuesday, but the Tuesday after. Oh, let me get a date here for ya. That would be the 15th.
This is on your channel. It's on Nicole's channel.
Yes, it's on mine. We're gonna do a live stream of our favorite ships, our favorite relationships, whether they be books, whether they be movies. You know, we could just talk about all kinds of things. So I love how yes, I love Angela. We're taking over your Tuesdays, so we have to figure out what we're gonna do for the last Tuesday. Actually, there's 5 Tuesdays in this month.
I know. I just pulled up a little calendar and I'm going, wait a second, you know, there are more Tuesdays for us to take over. But we are taking over Tuesdays for the next 2 weeks. So we have a movie night and then we have another live stream on Nicole's channel. And we are going to make this a permanent feature of, you know, our book club or just life because, you know, Nicole's learned how to do live streams and we're going to take advantage of that knowledge. And the more often you talk about romance books, I mean, the better.
Yes, I want to talk about romance books all the time.
I mean, I get to talk to you. We get to, you know, have our bookish friends here, and we get to talk about romance novels. I mean, what more could you ask for? That's awesome. Exciting.
Tuesdays is my favorite day of the week, just because of this.
I know, right? I mean, Tuesdays are one of those random days of the week where you're just kind of waiting to get to hump day, to get to Friday, to get to the weekend. But no, I love my Tuesdays. I love them. I mean, next week we're watching one of my favorite movies. I love this movie so much.
Oh, I'm glad. Yay. So, okay. Next week, who picked this movie? 10 Things I Hate About You. The week after, live stream on my channel. We're going to be discussing our favorite ships. So please come and join us. And obviously Angela will have a bunch of stuff on Twitter to remind you guys, and I'll be retweeting what she posts because I'm just following her train at this point.
Well, it was so funny. I realized earlier, I think I don't know how many, I think you've sent, 2 or 3 tweets out of the account? Is that?
Yes. Uh-huh.
You've only done a handful. So yeah. There's 1,177 tweets.
I probably sent like 5.
So for 1,177 tweets, I've been a busy little girl over here.
You're carrying this club.
Well, I mean, it's so much fun to talk about something you're passionate about and you enjoy, and then talking about it with people who also are passionate and enjoy it. I mean, that's really rare, especially with romance novels. I mean, this is, you know, it's so much fun to me. And I don't get to do that a lot of the time.
I love it. I love when my phone is just, you know, going off and I can see like, oh, Angela's on our book club page.
And I was going to say, Morris introduced me to the ROM Book Club hashtag, which I didn't know about. And if I'm being honest, I don't know if they advertised it using other hashtags because I actually hadn't seen it before and I study this stuff. I mean, I don't know if they didn't. I mean, usually if a hashtag is in conjunction with something else, you can kind of see it and, you know, there's that crossover element. And I hadn't seen it prior to, you know, she flagged it. And so now I know about ROM Book Club. So there's another romance element, but this is ours. This is our romance discussion, and I love it.
I love it. I love it so much. Any other things you want to talk about? Any kind of discussions? I know it's kind of, Marissa, I'll be there. I love it. I love our little group.
I love her so much.
I love her so much.
And everyone needs to go buy her book. I still need to read your book. I admit that. I still need to read yours.
I still need to read it. That should just be one of our book picks.
I know. I was gonna say we should just have a book discussion and then add her into the live stream. Be like, invite her in for the night. We really should.
Yes.
Because you're just a sweetheart, and you know I know I'm gonna love it just because I love you. I'm one of those people like if I love you, I'm just gonna look for everything positive and just hold on to those positive elements. I'm just gonna love it.
Oh, gosh.
Am I supposed to know what that means?
No, honestly, it's super duper annoying.
So basically, again, I don't want to indulge this, but every time you say potatoes, I just keep thinking Lord of the Rings with Sam going potatoes.
I have a shirt that says that.
You have a what?
I have a shirt that says potatoes. Boil them, mash them, stick them in a stew. Yeah, it's been deleted, but okay, dude, just because you do another.
Is that a reference to something that I?
No.
Okay. Well, welcome to the Romance Book Club.
Yeah, exactly.
Welcome. You know. I still think Sam and Frodo. I ship them.
Yeah.
Making it positive. I ship Frodo and Sam. I think they'd be an awesome couple. Yeah. So we've talked about our book. Yeah, we're taking over Tuesdays. We're going to read Morris's book. We're going to add that to the TBR, and I already retweeted that. I know the link's over on our Twitter account for those of you who haven't seen the link to her book, and you should be following her as well. Yes. Hart's books, her Instagram is amazing. Everyone needs to be following that. I know we lost her for the night, but I'm still pitching her Instagram. Is there anything else? Maybe? Yes, no?
I don't think so. I think this has been another great discussion. Okay. But no, I don't have anything else. I don't unless you want to talk about something else.
I love romance novels. Just be positive. I love them. I'm really excited for the movie next Tuesday. And then again, I'm so happy that, live streams on your channel. So the third Tuesday of every month. So this is going to be consistent. So the first Tuesday, we're going to have our book club. Second Tuesday, movie night. Third is either going to be either book recommendations or, tags over Nicole's channel. So I'm really excited for that.
I am too. I'm really excited. And thank you for suggesting it now that I can have live streams on my channel, because I did figure it out. I did it. All right. I think this is a wrap.
There's something else that was just held for comment that kind of caught my attention.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw it as part of the live stream or not, but
no, I didn't. No.
So sorry, my eyes drifted there for a second.
That's okay.
I'll tell you, I don't swear on my channel. I don't swear, so I'm not going to repeat it. I'm not going to read it out loud. But yeah, romance novels, awesome. I love your face. I love all of our followers and subscribers. You guys are amazing. We got to read Morris's book. I got to go buy that. So that's on my to be read list and,
yes.
to the list. So that's happening. And, I'm just so excited we do this. And I'm really happy that, I get to share love of romance novels with everybody, which is awesome.
Yeah, I love your face too. I think we say it. You are my best friend.
You really are. I mean, you live so far away, but you're I get to vent to Nicole. I was like, we just gained a subscriber apparently.
Yeah.
When I have a bad day, I tell you. When I have a good day, I talk to you. I mean, you're awesome. I mean, you really are the sweetest human being. And I'm so glad, book 2 introduced us.
Yeah, seriously. I want to fly to DC and just, hug you and watch movies and read romance books.
I mean, in all honesty, though, if we did live near each other, we would not get anything done because we would just be reading and talking all the time.
All the time.
All the time. I mean, but also maybe we would get something done because we could just say, hey, we're going to we're going to take over a table at this cafe and we're going to work on our books.
That's, my life goal is to live in the same neighborhood as you one day.
Hey, I don't know where I'm going to end up after I graduate, wherever there's a teaching position or something. I don't know. After my dissertation is finally submitted and defended and I go from being a PhD student to an actual PhD holder, the world is my oyster. I don't know what's happening.
Absolutely. That's awesome.
I might end up in Arizona. We don't know.
Oh, that's awesome. Alrighty, so I think we're calling it a night. Thank you, everybody, so much. And Max is saying good night too. Good night, Max.
No, thank you so much for watching. You guys are amazing. You make Tuesdays awesome. So I look forward to seeing you next Tuesday for movie night over on the Twitter account. So make sure.
Good night.
I just saw Spider-Man 3 was referenced. Yeah, no. So next Tuesday, Romantics with Hart Twitter account. I will be tweeting. Nicole will be tweeting from her account. So lots of tweeting and lots of 10 things I hate about you. So I'm excited for next week too. So good night, everybody. Thank you for watching.
Good night. See you next week.
Bye, everybody.